Hey everybody, we're now in the next video. This is where we're going to start doing our base coating of the models. I have all the models sitting right over here, from the very large one down to the very teeny tiny little bitty thing that's a 25 millimeter. Oh my gosh. I have some tips when printing these little bitty small models, or the smaller models, these tiny things. When you're got your model, if you're designing your own model, if it's a kit model, they're probably standing up, they're probably squished and made bigger and all kinds of stuff. And this is this model. It's just shrunk down to 25 millimeters, so it's the same model. Um, so when you're doing these, there's a few things to take into consideration. One, supports are going to be required on hands and stuff if they're separated from the body. So you probably want your hands to be close to the body so that you don't need supports on them, preferably part of the body. Also, your fingers shouldn't be splayed out. These ones have the fingers splayed out. The fingers are so small on this model, this teeny tiny little model here. Oh goodness gracious, that um, they're you can see through them. You don't want that either, because when you try to take the supports off, you're going to knock the fingers off. There's just no way around it. And getting those back on is not really going to be possible unless you are, you work with just the tiniest little gears and tweezers, and you're really good at doing that sort of thing. I'm not. I have a shaky hand, so I can't really do that. I shake a lot. So, um, we, we want to keep things close. Also, things like toes and stuff are the same as fingers. You want them to be kind of put together because when they put supports on it, again, they're gonna probably break your toes off. So I printed 6 models of this little guy, the girl, this little girl here, 6 of them, and two are worth working with, 2 of them out of 6. So that's because this model was never really meant to be geared up to run with a 25 millimeter model. It's just too small. And the fact that she's laying down makes it even smaller, because a 25 millimeter, if she was standing up, at least it might help a little. A lot of the miniatures you're going to use they're going to have armor on. They're going to have things in their hands like swords and shields or guns or flags or whatever, but they're probably going to be standing up. They're probably not going to be laying down quite like this, and if they are, they'll probably be on some sort of furniture or something, so that the model itself is a little larger and easier to print. When they're like this, they're very hard to print. The supports, even though they were light, the smallest supports I could find, they're still a lot for something this small when you have fingers that are splayed out. So I would never, ever, ever recommend it. I did do a pretty darn good job, I think, of getting the things to work. Her pinky finger did disappear, but I think that's just because it was part of the support. So it looks like she's more like this, with her hand, her pinky finger folded in, which she's sitting on the ground, so that could be. It works. Um, and these little things, like the feet on this one are fine. There's a little bit of a uh, you know, a little bit of a thing there, but we got it all. Uh, I did not buff these because they're just too small, and I figure if I run the felt thing over this, it's just going to rip everything apart. I don't want to rip everything apart. I'd like it to stay as good as possible. The reason I have 2 of these here is because, like I said in the previous video, I went and I looked at painting and tried to figure out pricing and stuff like that for what does it cost for people to paint miniatures. And I saw a lot of things. So I'm going to paint one of these like the ones I saw, which I'm going to call the slap chop. There you go. It looks great, and it doesn't. And then I'm going to paint one how I paint, and it is roughly the same for the little one, but it's a little bit different. But in this video, we're going to start with the primer base coat. That is the thing that lets the paint adhere to the model, because these plastic models don't really take paint too well. You've got to have a paint primer on them. So we're going to use the airbrush, and we're going to use this paint. This paint is, I can't even pronounce the name, but it is a flesh tone primer. It's acrylic, and we are going to airbrush it on because we want to airbrush these. So we're going to do it for all the models all at once. When I airbrush a primer, there's some people say, oh, I only use black primer, or I only use white primer, or I use pink polka dotted primer. It doesn't really matter what kind of primer you use. It's up to how you paint. How I like to paint is, if if I have a lot of skin tones on it, like if we look at her, she's got her arms, her chest, her face, her legs, this is all very visible. It's very there. You can see it. Now, the majority of the model is her shirt, her nightshirt here. And so therefore, I could probably prime this in black or white or anything else. But I'm going to do it in flesh because I want to get a really good tone for her skin, and I want to start out, best foot forward. So for me, how I paint, I will use, and I like to use a flesh tone primer. But there's in the kit I got on Amazon, it is for airbrush primers. It's a really good quality paint, and it has a lot of colors. It has the flesh tone, which is called neutral. It has white. It has a red brown. It has green, and it has black. So your red brown would be for darker skinned people. Your white, when I have a pale person, I mix a little of the neutral with a little of the white to get still a little skin tone in there, but not just white. The green, if you were doing a goblin, ground, grass, something like that, that'll work. The red brown by itself will probably work just fine for dirt or things of that nature where you have dark shadow in there. The black, of course, when people use black, it's because it will definitely do shadows and stuff from the defaults, and you're layering your paint on top of it, so any part you really miss is going to come out looking in shadow. And then it has gray, and gray is like I'm going to say it's a non-committal. I don't want to go white, but I don't want to go black, and I don't want to go color, so I'm going to go gray, and that's fine. Now, so this is, you might think, did you mix that? Well, yes and no. I did add a little water to this because I was using it as a wash, but then I had to add a lot more paint so it'll actually stick to the model. So this is now just a neutral primer, pretty much mostly. You don't really want to add water unless you have to. But if it's too thick for your airbrush, your version of airbrush, I have an airbrush that I use. It looks odd, but it's got the compressor and everything already in it. It's tangled in the wires. Okay, it's untangled from the wires. This is the airbrush that I use. And it has a little dial that I can turn on, and it blows the air, and I can check the, adjust the power of this. So this is the airbrush I use. It's by those people, Acticart. Anyway, I got this on Amazon. I ended up getting two of them. They are battery. Well, they're kind of battery. They're rechargeable. There's a USB-C port here that charges them up. I got two of them because when the battery runs out on one, I just start charging it and move to the next. So I can keep going and don't have to stop. This uses a tank with disposable ends. I don't really dispose of the ends. I have an ultrasonic UV cleaner, and I fill it with some rubbing alcohol, and when I finish using this end, I go ahead and toss it in there, and it cleans it. So I can keep using the ends. It has three sizes, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.5, I believe it is. Sizes. This is the 0.3. You want to, depending on how liquidy your paint is. If it's the consistency of water, you definitely want to go to 0.2. If it's the consistency of milk, you want to go with the 0.3. If it's the consistency thicker than that, but not too thick, because that's goes through an airbrush, then you want to go with the 0.5. The consistency does matter because if you say, well, I'm going to use the 0.5 because it's bigger and I can just push out the paint. Well, yeah, that's true, it does. However, it beads all over the place. And so I'm going to do the 0.3 for this one, though I think, honestly, it should probably use 0.2. We'll find out if it beads all over it. Now, if it does bead, I use a Q-tip, ta-da, and I rub it. I rub the whole model. And that allows it to sit in there. I also, you don't put your, if this were the model, you don't prime it like this. That's crazy talk. You don't do that. You're a ways away. You're about 6 to 12 inches away from the model as you're spraying it to get it all thinged, primed up. Also, I wear gloves because this doesn't have, oh, you should probably wear gloves anyway, but I use these disposable Fun For You gloves, and I just take them off and use them again and again until they tear, and then I throw them away. But you want to use the gloves because these gloves are going to go ahead and allow you to get the paint on your hands, which you're going to get on your hands, especially with models. Well, at least I am with this one because there's no I don't have a stand here that says I'm going to hold this and so I can paint. I'm actually going to have to hold it and spray it. So that is that. Also, I have right here. I have a hood for an airbrush. It's got a filter in the back with a spongy thing here that and it has a light that turns on, and it gets loud. So you'll be hearing the loudness of this as it's sucking the spray out, and it has a tube that goes out to the window, so it goes outside. Well, at least it goes to my exhaust fan, and then it goes outside. So we'll be doing the spraying in there. I have, as far as other things, I have a cosmetic makeup brush here, sponge for women to do makeup, foundation and stuff, but it also works great for tapping on your model. If you need to get rid of a lot of that beading, if you have some or anything, it soaks it up pretty good, and it doesn't leave it marred. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mix this up. Now, how I mix paints, and everyone does it differently. You might be a person who says, I'm going to mix a paint by going, and then you're going to do that forever. But I have a tool right here. You see, I have sore muscles because I get very tense. This is a hand massager. So I go ahead and I turn it on, and it's got power. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's vibrating. I'm sure you can see that thing vibrating all over the place. I'm looking over at the video, and yeah, I can see this thing vibrating. And I take this, and I go, wah! And this thing is going to vibrate like crazy. And that is going to mix up our paint. I'm just going to hold it here for a little while. And let it mix up. I'll move it around and make sure I get the whole bottom here, because I want to make sure all the paint in here is mixed up well. Acrylic paint will separate. Doesn't matter what you do, it's going to separate. So you want to mix up your paint really good, make sure it's nice and mixed up. I found that when you're shaking it with your hand and doing the jiggle and the spinning and everything else, you're really not mixing it up very good. I mean, if you did that for 5-10 minutes, maybe you would, but I'm not patient like that. So I have a gun that does it for me. It works really, really well. I found it was just an accidental find, in the sense that, I had this for my back, and I thought, well, I don't want to sit here and try to shake this paint, so I stuck it on this to see what happened, and it did an amazingly good job. One thing, though, is with airbrush paints, it does get sooty. A little bit sooty in there, because it is shaking it violently. You might not be able to tell, but my hand is vibrating like crazy in here, and my paint is now very well mixed. If we look at the bottom, we don't see anything gathered there. It is clear. It is really good. So it doesn't take long with this to mix up to a fantastic state. So I'm going to pour this into my little bottle, and then make sure my needle is clear. It probably is. And then I'm going to hook it to my, and we're going to focus the camera right over here so that we can see this be painted, and you'll see how I paint these. I'm going to go through all of them, one right after the other, and then I'm going to move them over to the side somewhere so they're out of the way. So let's get started with that. It's a brand new needle, so it should definitely work. Take and go like this and see. Yep, we've got a little bit of trail of ink coming out, or paint, I mean, not ink. I hit the light. Let's go ahead and put it back in. Okay, there we go. Take our board, and we are getting paint on that board. That's what we want to see. So now let's take our tiny little bitty model here, and let's take the pliers off. And it's a Lazy Susan, which spins, you see. And we want that because we want to spin it around, and we want to take it, and remember, we don't want to be right on top of it. We want to just spray it as we go around in a circle, just to cover her from head to toe, get it from different angles to make sure you get all of her, and all those little cracks and crevices and just everywhere. We also want to get the bottom of her, so I'm just going to knock her over and say, okay, well, that's good. Hopefully it dries really quickly, so I'm not putting fingerprints. It doesn't look like it. Again, she's so tiny that it's doubtful. So I'm going to go ahead and set her there. And I just knocked her over with it. That's how tiny they are. So move back a little. If I get too close, she'll just fall over. Let's go ahead and continue spraying her all the way around. Make sure you get everywhere. Whoop, yeah, well, I needed her knocked over anyway, so that's fine. We'll just keep going. And let's make sure we get all of the areas here. Okay. She's nice and sprayed. We'll try to we'll just do a spin here to make sure she's covered everywhere. I mean, I could use a little right there, and on her leg right there. Okay. Now she's sprayed. All right, good. I'm going to move her back there. All right, now we're going to move to a little bit bigger model. This one, it's a little bit larger. So let's continue with our spraying. You can start to see a little bit more detail when we get to these larger ones. It's not the size of a dime, but here we go. And spray, spray, spray. Get it all covered. Make sure you get everywhere. You don't want to leave anything left unprimed. And then we will have to do like we did before, and we'll have to knock her over on her back to get under her leg and her backside there, and then just get in these areas and like that. Also down into her neck area. So we're going to flip her back over again, and just get that. Again, I don't have a handy-dandy way, so I'm just barely trying to just not touch her very much so I can not take off that primer onto my fingers. As these models get heavier, that's going to be a little harder to do. I guess you could leave her there to dry and then do these parts, but I'm just trying to get as much done as I can. Also, leaving them in the tray is probably not the best thing because they'll get more primer on them as I'm spraying more and more here. But yeah, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and continue priming. Get in there. I'm too close. So let's move back a little. Get the leg. Get her back. You can see her start turning fleshy colored as I prime. You can also see the puddle appearing on the tray, so I'll probably wipe that off in a moment. After this model, we don't want to put her in a puddle. We don't want to drown her in it. We just want to prime her, not drown her. So I think I've got everything in here, all the little nooks and crannies. That's the beauty of an airbrush. You can get all those little areas that you normally wouldn't be able to reach. We're going to knock her back. And so I can get some more areas here that I didn't get before. You can really see them stand out. They're gray. And we want everything to be a fleshy color, not gray, preferably. So let's go over there. We want to try to go down in these areas like this, just to make sure we get everywhere. Right in there a little, and here, okay. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I'm going to move her over there. And I can spray her if I've knocked a little of her paint off. Yep, I did a little bit, not much. Okay, so like I said, that is got a lot of paint on it on this tray here. So we're just going to wipe it off. We don't want too much. And I am painting. Normally that's not really a problem because you're not, you know, but I'm priming one right after the other. If I just done one, then it wouldn't have really been an issue. But there was quite a bit there, quite a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. Again, she's a little bit bigger. I'll pull this forward some just so it's more visible for you, and it's also further away from them. So let's, because I should have put them over there. I didn't. So let's go ahead and prime her. Let's get her all primed up and ready to go. Just go all over her. This is a fleshy color. It's a primer. It's the first layer, remember? So you want to get it even. You want to get it on there. You don't want to put any primer so thick that it starts dripping or that it is too thick where you lose your details. The primer is not supposed to make you lose your details. It's just supposed to give you an adhesive for the paint to stick to. And I use it as, like I said, a starting layer here to work from. And I think I've got pretty much everything I can get at this angle. So like before, we're going to go ahead and knock her backwards very carefully. There we go. And we're going to get under her legs, our feet, everywhere where you didn't get before. You can see it's starting to stick, and got some areas like right in there for her legs. I want to go ahead and get that. I really do need to take them out because they're going to start puddling at some point, and we don't, like I just said, we don't want to do that. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to set this here. I'm going to take her, and I'm going to move her right over here. Okay, I didn't really take any paint off. These ones should be somewhat dry, so I can move them out of the way. They're not dry, but they should be dry enough where my little sticky fingers aren't going to cause problems. Let's go ahead and move them out of the way. We don't want them in there to get more primer on them. Okay, moved out of the way. Let's move on to the other ones. In fact, let's go ahead and do the one right now that has the that we repaired in one of the last video there. Let's you see this is our repair model. She's got the repair part there. That's me. I still have quite a bit of paint. So let's go ahead and let's prime her up. And let's get her face and her shoulders, her hair. We even though, you know, her shirt is not her flesh, we still have to do every bit of her. I'm a little close. You can tell when you're a little close because you'll see it's not as smooth when you're putting it on. So you want to move the thing backwards. Airbrushing, it tends to use a lot of paint because a lot of paint is just blowing right past it instead of hitting it. But we want to put that primer on there. We want to get it on everywhere. This one is this paint airbrush here is a little odd in the sense that you kind of have to look where the needle is facing. You can kind of see the paint coming out, but it's not always so evident where it is coming out at. But it is coming out, and it is going on the model here. So you can see it start to cover everything up. I'm going to come in just a little bit closer, just so we can see this a little bit better here. I'm going to come in and just paint away on her head, on that shoulder, her back, down her arm and her shirt. Make sure I get her hand. I want to get both sides of her arm. I want to get this hand up in here. I want to get over here. I want to come down in here. Oops. Alright. And make sure I get her leg. When you have a repair like that on I think on skin or something of that nature, you're probably going to want to use the same color you used for the model itself. So if I use the bioresin, I want to use the bioresin to do the repair. Although I can do the clear repair, but then I need to go back over and just put a little quick layer of the bioresin on it just to get the same color, because it does discolor. Now, when it's clothing like this, the clothing is going to be very colored. So you can see this little, it's much more fleshy than the rest, and that's because it's clear and there's no color bleed. It's just perfect. Clear is really good for showing the color you've got. So again, we're gonna knock her down, and we're gonna come in here and paint the areas where we didn't get, under her hand, up in there, her leg. Okay, do the other side here. Yeah, her foot, more of her leg. What's coming up in here? I'm hoping that I have enough paint here. If not, I'll have to just grab the bottle and put some more in, but I'm hoping I have enough. Okay, so I think I pretty much covered all of her areas. I want to get right in there. Yep, she looks pretty good and painted. Let's see, right in there. Okay. Yep, she's nicely airbrushed. All of her gizmos and gadgets are covered. You can see we have a little bit of liquid here gathering, but I guess that's just the way it's going to be for this one. right now. I will put her way over there. Hopefully that, yep, none of it came off of my fingers. Move on to the other one. This is the one that we did not have an issue with. It was fine. Let's go ahead and airbrush her. Get her all filled in. The nice coating of airbrushing, priming. Let's see, we want to come down in here, make sure we get on her legs. We still got quite a bit. I shake the bottle to see how I feel it moving in there to make sure we have enough. And we do, right? Yeah, that's working. I noticed on some of these, you can see there's a little break on that shirt at that spot. It wasn't from a layer shift, it's just the shirt must have been a bubble there, it became too thin. That is okay, these are not sellable. I mean, they're not for sale. These are for this video, as well as, you know, for me, I guess. I put them up somewhere. And I'm not worried about it. If I'm not worried about it, then it's fine. Now let's go in here. Okay, so I want to give an example. On her face right here, there's just a touch of bubbling. So I'm going to just take this brush and go just like that. And then I'm going to spray it again from a little bit of a distance. And the bubbling is gone. We got it primed. It looks really quite good. That's something you can do. You don't want bubbling on the face or anywhere else, really, anywhere. But sometimes, you know, it happens. And you were too close, which I'm probably too close. You want to make sure you get the feet in there and angles. You know, there's when you're priming these things, sometimes it's hard to tell if you properly airbrushed everything. At least for me, sometimes it is. So I want to make sure I got everything covered, because areas that are not covered will look terrible. When the paint won't stick right, or it'll stick differently than the rest of the model, and you'll end up with just ugly. So that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do what we do. We knock her down. Oh, she's just flying off though. We want to bring her back on. Okay, you see, it's not taking any of the paint primer off, and that's what we want to see. We don't want the primer to come off. We do want to get under her hand. Again, we also want to get over here. We want to get, ooh, that was really close. I just moved it too close, but that's okay. We want to do here. Primer goes on very slow. I mean, the airbrushing goes on very slowly. It's not like a paintbrush which just slaps the stuff on. We have to go over it in coats. You know, it'll go over here, there, but it also dries much faster because it's such a thin coat. So as we go around the model, the other side's somewhat dry. Maybe not entirely, obviously, but it's somewhat dry. So we want to make sure we got everywhere. Let's come back over this side. Just make sure we've got, oh, look at her head. We've got something. I don't even know what the heck that is. Let's just tap it a little on her head. Yeah, just like that. I don't even know what that is. Just a slight coat. There we go. And it's probably me with some stuff pooling there. Okay. We want to come right in here. Oh, that's a bit of a difficult area to get in it. Let's see. Oh, that's better angle. All right. We want to get right in there. We want to get up in here. Just, you know, the more complicated the model, the more difficult it is to get an even coat of airbrush paint on it, primer. It looks like her knee got hit a little there, but there we go. And this part of the leg right here. Okay, and it looks like right over there her hand. Yeah, and I missed. Okay, so we're going to call her ready to go. I have no really where to put her. I'll put it right here. Ooh, she needs to have her hand on the table. If she doesn't, then that's going to be wrong. I'm going to need to move some stuff over because we got the big one to put on here next, and that's big. We've got a big mama right here. Whoo, she's tall. I still have enough juice. I'm running at full power on this. I'm not running slow. You see, this is something I don't like. Sometimes with this brush, it will put these splotches. And sometimes we want that, sometimes we don't. I don't. I want even. Generally, you can stop that by shooting a board first and then going. If you've shaken up the tool, then it will do that to you. But we're going to go ahead and do up in her neck area. We're going to do her face. Remember, we cleaned and sculpted her face out. Looking at this, you can probably see that we did a really great job on her face. Let's go ahead and do her body right here. There is where we fixed it. We're going to go ahead and go over that. And do her hair, more of her hair. She's big, so with her, there's a lot to cover. So we want to get everything we fixed right there on her hair. Let's do down her shoulder a little. He's still doing good on this. All right. Oh, I just splattered it again, but it'll probably blend in because it's on her shirt, so I'm not too worried. Would not want that on her body, but I did clean the tip off a little so I could get the spray to come out. It wasn't jammed. It was just, not what I wanted. So the flow wasn't all there. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to try to do her leg here. Let's do down here. We're going to come over in here and do more of it. I couldn't hold her and do it, but this Lazy Susan works really good. And sometimes you will have to hold it to spray it, and that's fine. Just make sure you wear gloves or something if you don't want to get covered in paint. If you don't care if you get covered in paint, if you want to say, look at this, I'm covered in paint, battle scars or whatever from painting, or whatever, then, paint your hands away. Go ahead. But I don't want to get covered in paint. I can't stand things on my hands, so it doesn't work for me. So I'm wearing gloves. All right, let's come down here. We're going to get under here. All along this, we're going to do this arm. Where's my board? I just shook it up. So I want to spray the board. Just a piece of cardboard. That's all that I have. Tore a box apart, took the flap so that I could use it as a board for doing, this, to spray things and make things like I wanted them to be. Let's do the top of her head. I did not do that. Okay. I should have done that first, since that's how I'm flipping her over. But whatever. Okay, let's just see if we can get this leg a little bit smoother. All right, there we go. And her hand right in there, a little bit smoother. Looks good, looks good. It's, you might think, well, I see some grays in there and stuff. And then, yeah, to an extent. You see some bubbling on her foot. We'll just tap, 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 tap. That is caused by pooling. We'll just go over it again. Pooling gone. The underside of her arm, let's get that. All right. Now, let's go ahead and she's going to be a little bit of a monster one to flip, but we're going to flip her all the same because we need to do it from a different angle. That's where we're going to get inside those areas where you said, I saw some gray. Well, you didn't say it, I said it, but I imagined you said it. There we go. And let's do the hand. Bottom of the hand. You see what I mean? When you don't get all those little divots out, you can really quite see them in there. So it's fine because it's on the bottom of her hand, which again is going to be laying down on the table. We got some scratches there. Those are from the when I was UVing her. She's pretty much bigger than the UV chamber, so she doesn't fit real well. So when that thing spins, it spins her. She hits the door with her feet, and the door doesn't open, but she also doesn't spin anymore. And so the tray is still spinning underneath her, so it scratches a little. Not that big a deal, because again, it's on the floor where you're not going to see it. Let's make sure we got up in here. We got some area right in here. We want to make sure we get into her neck area. We're going to just go ahead and make sure we do her leg again. Make sure we've got all sides of it covered. Yep. Okay, I would say that she has been primed at this point. I don't see anywhere I missed. Hopefully you don't see anywhere I missed. Okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, all right, all right. Let's just get in there. There's some little areas in there. Okay. And down in there. Okay, 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 okay. All right. So there we have it. She's been primed now as well. So I did make some space for her. Ow, light. Okay, and we're going to set her in the space I created for her right there. Again, the paint's not really coming off of my fingers, which is fantastic. The primer is sticking really well. To do all those, I used about, I would say, half of this bottle. Half of this bottle I used. So now, so we completed this priming of the bottles. I use, again, a flesh tone. You can use any color you're familiar with or like. I like to, if I have a lot of flesh or a lot of detail in flesh, I want to use a flesh tone so that that's the part that sticks out the most, more so than the clothing. If the clothing is your focus area, then you probably want to use a primer that's going to really exemplify your focus area or your clothing. For me, it's always going to be the flesh. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this video is done at that point, and we will move on to painting next with our tiniest little miniatures, and then we will move on to getting these things off of my fingers. There we go. Whew. Like I said, I don't throw anything away. I don't like to waste, so I will reuse this thing many times until it just dies. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for the next video.